Hey everyone, wanted to make a quick video on progress. This morning I was thinking through it because I know there's some direct messages I've gotten from some of you, you know who you are, where you see other people's accounts who are up a huge percent this year. You know, whether it's the gurus up 500%, or even somebody who's just had a pretty decent year and they're up 50 to 75%. Maybe you're spinning your wheels, or you're doing decent but not as well as you like, and it can be very frustrating to want things sooner rather than later. Those of you trying to grow a small account into a large one, whether it's swing options, longer term investing, you name it, the method may be different, but oftentimes the goals are the same: to be able to buy a house, to be able to buy a house, to be able to buy a car, uh, buy that watch, whatever it is. It feels pretty solid to have things that are the fruits of your labor, see that paper profits be converted into something physical. But especially when you're starting a small account, no matter how well you do, it's frustrating to see that maybe stay much smaller than your big goals. I think sometimes people get way too ahead of themselves. You're starting with a 10K account or 20K account, and you want you're thinking more $1 million, 5 million, where you want to be eventually. And the key word is eventually. If you make wise decisions, logical decisions, one trade at a time, you will be very surprised where you end up, and maybe it takes less time than you expected. But on the other hand, if you're always, looking at your account each day, checking on your phone, checking your major positions, trying to like cheerlead them up, come on, move, move, move. Uh, that's just going to be more frustrating than anything else. Even makes me think of some guys in our chat, the latest biotech meltdown with MLTX, and guys who were long that name, not because they had high conviction, but more because they just wanted quick gains, quick binary gains, style drift, where you want your return sooner rather than later. So you're willing to take excessive risk and maybe move into stocks that are not part of your normal playing field. So I don't know where I'm going with this rant other than telling people to, and this is to myself as well, note to self, slow down. These last 3 years have been really good for me, consistency wise, gain wise, racking them up. And it's nice to see. Usually my personal MOA is I'll have a hot streak, and then I'll give the gains back to the market because it goes to my head and I get overconfident and take too much risk. And then I'll have another hot streak and then give the gains back, or death by a thousand cuts, a lot of small losses that add up over time. And so it's been nice this time around, just to year after year after year, to compound and to see those add up over time, and to see the small account. Those of you who know my story, going from having a very small account starting in my 20s, growing it to a large one, able to start a couple businesses off it, buy a house, and then post divorce, very, very humbling to start from square one again, worth debt, more dead than alive, having debt and no savings. And to go from that, building a small account again, and over the past few years, seeing that grow to respectable size. Not where I want yet, but definitely what helps me personally is setting those incremental goals. If you're at $5,000, saying, okay, I want to get to 10. And when you do get there, doing some positive reinforcement, taking your loved ones out for a nice dinner, go on a road trip, do something to reinforce that behavior that got you there. And then from 10, you don't set your big goal being, a million. You set your next goal being 20, then from 20 to 30, from 30 to 50, from 50 to 100, and set incremental goals that are realistic. Um, Last thing I'll say there before I sign off on this rant is yeah, just set realistic goals with the DCA personal portfolio that I share updates on each quarter. It's just my own portfolio, and some months I'm able to add a couple $1,000s to it or whatever. And some months, because of my expenses, you guys know I tend to spend most of my time in Latin America, so there'll be months where I won't be able to add to it. But what helped this time around was, instead of setting some lofty goal like, hey, I want 20% or 50% returns or whatever, is I'm just trying to have that base hits mentality versus home runs. If you're going after high probability setups and you're right 60 or 70% of the time, you have to be okay with the fact that you'll be wrong 30% of the time. And so those base hits add up over time. So my goal, I said, was I projected a $50,000 account with, I think it was an 8% annual return. And within 20, 25 years, that would be over 2.2 million. Don't quote me on that, but something like that. And so when I'm shooting for that 8% return, and 2023, we returned 117%, versus 14% for the benchmark, the XBI. Last year, I did pretty badly because I was riding high and then I got overconfident and gave some gains back. I also did some style drift. I went into highly binary setups that I should have steered clear of. So those were unforced errors, my own mistake. And it was still a year I was up 14%. And this year, I'm not up crazy like a lot of my friends. Really happy for you guys. I'm up maybe 40% for the year, which is still nice, you know. If I can just compound it every year, I'll get to where I want to go and then some. So that's my encouragement to you guys: is setting realistic goals, setting logical goals, trying to make wise decisions one trade at a time, keeping a journal, keeping a log, so you know. You can write down your thoughts when you're inspired. You don't have to write it all the time, even if you write once a week or once a month, just whenever those thoughts come to your head that you want to get down on paper. It helps a lot when you're looking back. You'll see what you were doing well and reinforce it. And over time, you'll see the patterns of the weaknesses and what you can do to address those weaknesses, the rules you can make to combat them. In my case, over trading, fear of missing out, is one of my worst weaknesses. Especially if I'm doing badly, I overtrade to try to make the gains back, and usually that makes it a whole lot worse. I dig a deeper hole. So that's why you guys know that I have a maximum 4 allowed trading days per month. And so that's specifically so that all most of the days I'm not trading. I'm writing down my ideas, my thesis, my rationale, and I'm only pulling the trigger when I'm ready. When I have my 7 pre-trade questions, I have to ask myself first those questions, write a paragraph for each one. So I only pull the trigger when I'm ready, and that helps me cut down on FOMO buys. Um, Same thing goes with sizing. One reason I don't play as much poker anymore is because I tend to be the guy who goes all in, and that can be a very dangerous trait with biotech. So for me, you guys know it's maximum allowed portfolio weighting of 10% for commercial and 5% portfolio weighting for clinical, no matter how much I like the company. So if I think it's going to the moon, that 5% portfolio weighting for clinical, 10% for commercial, could do really well for my portfolio if it ends up being a 3 or a 5 bagger or whatever. And if worst comes to worst, something binary happens, an unexpected risk, regulatory, FDA, a curveball, you name it, uh, and the stock falls 80%, I'll live to, that was 5% of my portfolio or 10%. I'll live to fight another day, um, instead of having to spend the next year or two trying to dig yourself out of a ditch you created. Um, so again, that's the end of this rant. Just trying to help, especially in a period where biotech, it looks like there's a lot of tailwinds coming. It could be a really fun couple of years in the future. But when it's getting frothy at highs, you're seeing a lot of these data runners, uh, even Ovid recently running on healthy volunteer data. Just want to be that voice of reason out there, especially to whether it's newbies out there or also veterans, just because I'm speaking to myself. What I tend to do when I'm riding high is that's when I make mistakes, especially unforced mistakes. Unforced errors are the worst ones because if I hit the occasional landmine in biotech, something I didn't see coming, uh, clinical news, clinical hold or safety issue, what have you, I won't be as hard on myself because I didn't see that coming. But when it's these unforced errors, these mistakes where in hindsight you were being too aggressive, at the time, if you're honest with yourself, you were being way too aggressive, you were breaking your rules on sizing. That's the stuff that really punches you in the gut. So, yeah, my encouragement to you guys, stick to your rules. If you don't have them, write them down. Whether on X or an ROTY biotech community or wherever you find community, it's nice to surround yourself with people who have more experience than you, who can encourage you at lows to stay in the game, and at highs, hopefully they can bring you down a notch, ego, humility, so you stay grounded. And that's so we can keep compounding gains, keep making wise decisions, and keep watching our accounts grow. Uh, yeah, that's it from my end, everybody. Peace. Have a great weekend.